So today's the big day for the Audi TT. The block is going to get reunited with the head. So the TT is actually fine. Little did I know how wrong I was. So the first thing I need to do today is get all of these valve stem seals out. I don't know how I'm going to get these, the new ones back in, to be honest, because every time I'm using the pliers to get these ones out, they are getting absolutely mashed. This one actually isn't too bad, but it's definitely not round. So yeah, I'm going to have to try and figure this out, how I'm going to get those on. But yeah, let's get these out. I'm just trying to install these valve stem seals, and I've just been shown the trick of the century because I don't think I'd have found this anytime soon. So when you're installing these valve stem seals, you actually get this little plastic thing here, which is basically just like a little guide. So the best way to do this is just to put that little plastic bit onto a valve like this. So get the valve stem seal, and then you want to put your fingers at the end of where the plastic bit is and then push it onto the valve. And then you can pull the valve stem seal off and it will stay on the little plastic bit. Put your valve in, and then you can put your valve stem back on, valve stem seal back on, and then push it down, there you go, onto the valve. And then if you push the valve up, you can then push the seal down and it should just slide straight over. And that's obviously then past where the collets go on the valve. And then what you can do is you can get a long socket. I'm actually using a 10mm socket. It's actually kind of better to be a 9mm socket, but I don't have a long extension 9mm. So you just pop that straight on there and then just give it a hammer. And you can pull the little plastic bit off the valve. And obviously doing this with the valve actually in is going to help you line the valve stem seal up, making sure that's all the way seated down. And then we've just got every other valve to do exactly the same. If you learned something new there, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, because I didn't know this, and it's actually kind of made me a bit giddy just to be able to do that and be able to install these valve stem seats very easily, because I was struggling with these for quite a while. So I've just spent the last couple of hours relapping every single exhaust valve, because what I've done is I actually put fuel into the port of the head, let the fuel sit there for a few minutes and see if it was leaking out of the actual valve, because I wasn't sure whether it was leaking or not. So I done it that way, and every single exhaust valve was very slightly leaking. So done exactly the same on the intake, and we don't have any leaks on the intake side. I've just cleaned the head up, and now I'm going to start reassembling everything. So last week when I was putting the cam chest back onto the cylinder head, I ended up knocking the timing out, which basically I put the sealant on and then I was ready to put the cam chest back on, and then the cams actually fell out of the actual chest, because they kind of stay in, but when I went to put them back in, obviously I had to flip it back over, and then they fell out. So the timing came out and I wasn't 100% sure how to sort of time them back up. And I was kind of on a time limit, because I was like, right, I need to get the head, you know, the chest back on, so I can, you know, because the sealant is on it. I got the timing out one tooth, so I had to then take it all back off, clean it all back up, and then put it back together. And then I put it all back together again, and I felt like the cams wouldn't turn. So I ended up taking it all apart again, cleaning it all up one more time, and now we're back to taking it apart. I put it back together without any sealant, and oh, nice spider, hello. I put it together without any sealant, and just made sure that the cams were turning. Now I'm going to take it all apart again, I'm going to lube it all up again, I'm going to put more sealant on it, and then we can finally get this head put back together. So today's the big day for the Audi TT. The block is going to get reunited with the head. So just before I put the head back on, I've just cleaned up all of the block surface. I've cleaned up the pistons, so they're all looking relatively fresh. This is just a stain, so I can't really get these parts off. But I'm happy with how everything's kind of come out. It's looking pretty fresh and it's ready for a new head gasket. So here's the new multi-layer steel head gasket kit, which I bought from Dark Side Developments. So this one's really quite nice because it only fits on one way. You know, if you flip it over this way, it doesn't sit correctly, so it only goes on one way, which is great, especially for someone like me who's never done this before. So, you know, I pretty much can't get this wrong. So with piston 1 and piston 4 at top dead center, well, 1 is top dead center, which also brings piston 4 up. I've got the freshly built head here, and if you look underneath, the valves on cylinder 1 and the valves on cylinder 4 are closed, and then 3 is slightly open and 2 intake valves are slightly open. So we're going to be good to mate the head back onto the block, and we're not going to have any valve contact with any pistons. So after making sure that the head is seated properly on the gasket and on the block, you want to then drop your head bolts in, and then you want to torque them. There's 4 settings for it, so you need to torque it to 40 newton meters all the way around in like a spiral, and then you want to do 60 newton meters again all the way around in a spiral, and then you want to do 90 degrees all the way around in a spiral, and then another 90 degrees all the way around in a spiral. Sweet, so we have the head all bolted down, all torqued down. The next thing I'm going to do is bolt the turbo or the exhaust manifold back up to the head. And that's the turbo all connected. The thermostat side is all done, and that's the timing belt reinstalled. And last but not least, the intake, the throttle body, boost pipe down here, serpentine belt, everything is on. I've got new PCV system, so that's all nice and hooked up. Rocker covers all torqued down, everything is on. So it literally comes down to putting the jumper pack on the battery and turning the key now. Here goes nothing. Oh my god, she's running. So the TT is actually fine. In the back of my mind, I always thought that there's a potential that this doesn't actually ever run properly again. But now we're running absolutely perfect. I'm just gonna do a quick oil change and a filter change, bolt those last few little bits up that I need to. So now that the car's running really nicely, we have one last thing to do, and that is put that number plate on there. The car seems absolutely fine when you're driving, and also, to be honest, when it's idling, it seems fine. Little did I know how wrong I was. So I just sat here letting the car idle, and suddenly I get a flashing engine light. So I plugged my OBD scanner in, and I've got misfire on cylinder 4 and a random misfire. It's exactly the same as what we had when we first started fixing this car. So I'm really left with two options now. I really don't know. The only options that I've got left is it's piston rings, but I don't think it's piston rings because the bores were fine. There was no scratches on it. It doesn't really make sense if it is the piston rings, and it's such a low drop in compression that the only other thing that I can think it could be is a cracked cylinder head. So we'll just give the engine a start up and I'll show you. There you go. So as you can see, well, hopefully you can see, engine is idling really nicely. This is kind of why I thought it was absolutely fine, because I get no engine light here. Everything seems fine. The only thing I can see on the exhaust is you get this like liquid coming out, which might even be coolant. It might be coolant coming out. So this is what makes me think that there might be a crack in the cylinder head, because if there's coolant coming out of here, then that's going to make the engine misfire. If you've got any ideas for me at this point, make sure to leave them in the comment section below, because I haven't got a clue. I'm really coming to an end with like what I can do here. I do still need to do a smoke test or a leak down test, so I'm going to do that in the next video. If you have enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.